Hello everybody, it is Apex here, and I hope everyone's having a great day. Today, we are going to do a Shogun 2 campaign slash single player unit tier list. I'll do a multiplayer one later. A lot of these rankings will change in multiplayer because in multiplayer cost efficiency is far more important, but I guess let's get right into it. So here are the different tiers that we've gone, standard S through D, and we have the garbage tier. These are units that you really should never once use, except for one of those units, which it's got some potential, but there's still just better options. And then the Chad tier. And starting off, everyone knows, exactly what's going in that Chad tier. Where is he? There he is. This guy right here, Yari Ashigaru, probably in single player and multiplayer, probably the most cost efficient unit in the entire game. This guy is insane, but you'd look at him and you'd think, oh my god, this is a horrible unit. Why would I ever want to use it? I mean, the stats are pretty crap. He's got almost no morale, terrible melee attack, terrible melee defense, terrible armor, and he's just gonna round break, you'd think. And you'd throw him into combat, and most of the time you'd be right. However, and what a lot of people don't understand is, this is like the one unit in this entire game with a formation. You throw this guy into his Yari wall, and he goes from objectively like the worst melee unit in the entire game to one of the best and certainly the most cost efficient unit in the entire game. And then these guys right here, these are specific to the Oda faction only. These are the Oda long Yari Ashigaru. Basically the same stats and everything, except their Yari is, an extra 3 feet long, which means it's even harder for the enemy to actually get to them. So they're going to take a lot less casualties in a fight, which means they're going to stick around longer, they're going to hold their ground longer, and they're going to get even more kills. An amazing unit. Anything else that goes up in Chad tier? Alright, yeah, probably these. Fire Cav. Not quite as good as these two guys. I find myself never using too much Cav in this game. But this is outright the second strongest melee Cav in the entire game. Insane stats, really great attack, defense, armor, good speed considering it's heavily armored. It's beaten out by one Cav in terms of stats, but in general, if you include everything outside of stats, this is definitely the best Cav in the game. Fire rockets. Where should I put these? I'd say probably B tier. I mean, fire rockets are like the only arty you should realistically use 99% of the time, because they function outside of their arty roles, and if you get them ranked up, they're even nicer. These things have a huge area of effect, but they're not likely to hit what you're actually shooting at that efficiently. But they have a really good range. They have solid reload rate for what they're trying to do. And I mean, they'll shred defenses. If you're attacking a castle, they are a great unit to have. They'll shred the enemy walls, and they'll shred units in a field battle too, especially with how the Shogun 2 AI likes to get. Enemy units will clump up. Fire rockets will absolutely tear them apart. Alright, European cannons. Garbage. Absolute crap. If you want something to use to destroy walls, don't use these. If you want field artillery, don't use these. If you want something that's cost efficient, don't use these. If you want something you can get at a reasonable pace in the game, don't use these unless you're the Otomo. There's one case in which to use these. If you aren't using fire rockets and you want a single piece of arty to destroy enemy walls or take out a tower. Besides that, they're just not useful whatsoever. It's a bad unit. It has an extremely niche click that it fits into, and fire rockets does that better anyways. So just don't use them. Then we have bow bandits, I believe. I think only the Mori get these. I'm not quite sure, but they're not a very good unit. Unit size, they don't match up to anything else. They have garbage armor, so they can't trade with other ranged units. There's just no real reason to take this when you've got other options on the table. Bo Ashigaru. Oh, hold up. I just realized my D tier. Here we go. Let's switch that around. Let's put these guys in E tier. Sorry. Just realized that was all switched backwards. All right, Bo Ashigaru. I'd probably put C, maybe high D, definitely at the end of the C tier, not the good C tier units. Early game, great. Decent accuracy and reload for early game is good. They have very low armor, they have very low morale, and if they get into melee, they're getting torn apart by anything. They'll just get completely shredded because they have terrible melee stats and really poor morale. They're gonna die. 3 dudes in their unit die and they start routing. They're just not that good. I mean, if you get them ranked up, they become significantly more efficient. But when there are other options on the table, why would you ever use these? Firebomb throwers. I'd say they're probably better than the bandits here. These bow bandits. They're very situational. They're very niche. Still better than the cannons in an artillery role, but they're really mostly held back by really poor melee stats, really poor morale, and really poor range. They're getting right up in the enemy's face to throw bombs, and then the enemy's just gonna charge them down and kill them. Now, in a siege, they're definitely more efficient. If we're speaking strictly sieges, I'd probably put them in a D tier. But because this is for, field battles as well, definitely an E tier, just not that efficient. And then we have Matchlock Ashigaru, who I would probably put high D, low C maybe? D. So Matchlock Ashigaru, I love them in multiplayer. They do so much work and they are so cost effective in multiplayer. But in single player, they have bad morale and bad stats, and they have one bonus. There's a lot of them. They have larger unit size than any other Matchlock unit, which means more bullets are going down range. But why would you take this when you can just take the samurai Matchlocks, who have like twice the reload skill and accuracy and have far better morale, and if they get in melee they actually can do something and not instantly crumble? They're just not that worth it in a campaign, but they are still fairly cheap and they're good early on in a campaign. So I tend to use them, and then eventually, unless I'm playing like the Otomo, I'll probably phase them out for either some high level bow units or just one of the other Matchlock units. Like these guys. These are the Matchlock monks, which are far better in my opinion than their counterparts down here. They have better range, they have better accuracy, they have better reload skill, they're better in melee, they have better morale. The only issue is it's a small unit size. They're good, it's just a small unit size. I definitely put them into C tier, maybe high C tier, but there's better options still if you're looking for Matchlock units in the campaign. Now in multiplayer, again, this is a different story, but in campaign, I would probably put them probably mid C tier. The Naginata warrior monks, I believe. Correct? I think. Yes, that's the warrior nuns. Oh no, I think this is the Naginata warrior monk hero unit, I believe. Some people might not like this. Probably D tier and worse than the Matchlocks, honestly. They're a good unit when they get into melee, but they're not the best Naginata unit. There's just better options that have, a larger unit size that really held back by being a small unit. They're also a hero unit, which means you're only getting them pretty late game anyways. These are the regular Naginata warrior monks. These are actually a pretty good unit. I probably put them high B tier, probably. They're solid in melee. They're held back by a couple of stat issues, and there's better options that you can unlock, but they're still a pretty solid unit in the end. Bocav? Bocav is... I don't know. Bocav have a weird place in my heart. I think they're pretty good. The mobility is nice. The issue is mobility in campaign is not as important as in multiplayer. Maybe a D tier. Maybe a D tier, honestly. They have decent stats, but they're held back by unit size and mobility just not being as important in single player. But yeah, I mean, they do have good stats. You will normally get pretty good damage with these units if you use them properly. But there's just better options. Chosokabe bow monks? Probably. Honestly, I love these guys. Not Chosokabe, just regular bow warrior monks. I would say probably high A, maybe low S. They're a great unit. They have phenomenal stats. They have better armor than the Ashigaru or the bandits down here. The samurai might have some better stats, but I wouldn't say they're as efficient. But warrior monks do have the extra range, which makes them phenomenal. Yeah, I'd say they're probably in S tier. Definitely an S tier. Daikyu Samurai. Oh boy, I love these guys. I'm definitely gonna put them at least into A tier. Honestly, maybe even S. Daikyu kick ass. They're expensive. They have great range, great armor, great reload, great accuracy, lots of ammunition. What do they not have? Nothing. They're just a great unit. They're expensive, and I believe only one faction can actually recruit them, which is why, yeah, that's why I can't put them in S tier. Only one faction can get them, and they're not good enough to still put them in an S tier because of that. But these are probably, if every faction could get them, or they were more available, probably an S tier immediately. They're just such a good unit. I love these guys. Oh, these pieces of crap. If you thought nothing could be worse than the European cannons, you were wrong. The fire mangonels. I have a vendetta against them. I do. So I might be skewed. Tell me if I'm wrong. But these are the worst unit in the entire game. Imagine everything wrong with the cannons. Except the mangonels couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn. These things, they're going to use half their ammunition just hitting a tower on the walls. They're so inefficient. Just take the European cannons. Please, if you need an arty piece and you don't have fire rockets, just take the European cannon over this thing. I wish this wasn't even in the game, honestly, sometimes. It's just so bad. Great guard. Okay, so these units, as what I was saying earlier, the one thing that stat-wise is better than the fire cavalry up here. Great guard. Khan's great guard, I believe. Great guard normally. Oh my god. Stat-wise, Chad. The issue is you get them really late into the game. They're very expensive, and you don't get very many. And because of that, probably A tier. And honestly, I take the Daikyu Samurai over them. They have such good stats. They really do. They're just expensive, and you have so little of them that it's just not worth it. Just take other things. If you're talking to take the Fire Cav, and if you're literally anything else, take Yari Cav or even a Hero Cav unit, because you're just not going to get these in time to actually really be able to utilize them in your campaign. Hand mortars. Probably, in my opinion, probably about the same as the European cannons, probably a little bit worse. They have good range. Yeah, they're not crappy cannons, but they're just not very efficient at what they do. This is the Katana Ronin, I believe. I think the Eco Icky are the only ones who get access to this. I've barely played around with them. Probably bottom of D, honestly. There's better options like the Katana Samurai. He was definitely an A tier right here. I'd take Daikyu over them. But Katana Samurai, a backbone of many armies. When the AI throws these at you, they chew through your units. You'll kill them all, yeah, and you'll win the battle. But they'll get like 90 plus kills still when they were outnumbered and surrounded. Especially when ranked up, these things are nasty. Big damage output, good morale, good stats. Something you should be scared of and something you should definitely have a few of. Ninjas. Very situational. Put them in C tier. Yeah, they're just very situational. They don't do that much. Small unit size. They don't stand that long in a melee fight unless it's against pretty low tier units. But they can be nice when capturing forts. They can sneak up walls because they have that Kisho deployment, so they can stay right there, sneak up a wall, open the gate, and allow your guys to go through without having to scale the walls. If you're playing the Tokugawa get their own unique ninjas. And if I was rating the Tokugawa ninjas, I put them down in D tier because they're just bad. I don't know why. They're supposed to be better, but they're just not. But in general, the ninjas are C tier. Is this light cavalry? Yes, light cavalry. Not good. Not good, to say the least. But where? Like they're there at the start of the game, and they have spheres, so they have anti-cav, which is good. But their stats are so poor. They're basically Ashigaru with their stats. They don't stay in a fight long. They don't dish out that much damage, and they're, despite having anti-cav, they can't anti-cav because their stats are so low. C or D, C or D. Probably D tier. And honestly, I'd take everything in that tier before I'd take a unit of light cavalry any day of the week. Another Eco Iki, I believe. Only unit, the Lone Sword Ashigaru. Phenomenal unit. This thing, cost effective as hell. Great damage. Yes, it's Ashigaru, but they're Katana Ashigaru. They don't have the issues that Spearmen have it, and they have the damage output of Katana. They have a great unit size because it's Ashigaru. They're held back by some pretty bad melee defense and morale. So maybe high A tier. It's hard to say. I love using these units so much, and they're phenomenal in multiplayer. Let's put them in high A tier for now. I might reconsider that. This is the Naginata monks, correct? I think. I'd take them over. Would I take them over the monk hero? They've got the bigger unit size, but they don't have the boost a hero unit does. I still don't use them. Yeah, I wouldn't use them. If you want a Naginata unit, again, there's just better options. None of them have come up yet except for this guy. There's better options. Why would you take him when you can do something else? Matchlock Samurai, much more expensive than Matchlock Ashigaru. Much better stats. And I believe these guys get deployables compared to the Matchlock. So if you guys didn't know, most people don't know this that I've talked to. If you keep your army on the defensive and don't move them for 1 or 2 turns, your bow samurai and your matchlock samurai, I believe, get deployables. And I don't, hundreds of hours maybe I put into this game before I realized that was a thing. And I realized it was a thing by watching someone's YouTube video who talked about it. Because I still haven't experienced it in the campaign because I'm never sitting defensively like that. If I'm sitting defensively, I'm fortifying myself in a castle. I guess you might experience that if you're holding a river crossing or something. But because of that, probably low C tier. Low C tier, probably. They're better than the matchlocks for sure. They're held back. They have a smaller unit size, so less bullets are going down, but they're so much more accurate that the accuracy is going to more than compensate for the less volume. Naginata Monk Cavalry. It's a decent cavalry. I don't know if how highly I'd rate it. I'd take it over Bocab most of the time. But I take it over I take it over the infantry too. Yeah, I'd probably put it there. Yeah, it's better than any of those guys. Hanzo's Shadows. They're better, yes. Much, much better than the other monk unit. Or sorry, the other ninja unit. It's far better. And because it's a hero unit, but ninjas are already a small size, you're not really taking a big penalty on size either. And their combat power is just so much higher. Yes, they're expensive as hell. But honestly, it's probably this is the first hero unit I'm putting above a D. Probably at the bottom of A tier, I'd say. They're efficient. I'd certainly take other things over them, but they're a fun unit to use, and they're very efficient at what they do. No Dachi Samurai, probably top of C tier. Big damage. War Cry means they can stay in the combat longer and dish out big damage, but they don't have good defense and they don't have good armor, so they do get torn apart easily, especially against other heavily armored and high melee attack things. Like Katana Samurai would tear these things apart after the initial charge, because these guys do have a huge charge bonus. Portuguese Tercios, S tier. Are they better than the monks? I think the monks have a bigger unit size, and they have much better range. Monks have good armor piercing, I believe. Oh, they're probably worse than the monks. This is the best matchlock unit in the game. It doesn't have the good size, like it's even smaller, I believe, than the Matchlock Samurai, but they have by far the best accuracy and reload speed, and they're Portuguese Tercios, which means they have plate armor on, I believe, or at least padded. No, that's definitely plate that they have. They're very heavily armored, and they have pretty good melee stats too. So, I mean, these things in campaign, I played the Otomo before, you get these early on, they'll rack you like 300 plus kills a battle right at the start of the game. They absolutely shred enemy units, and they will trade positively against missile units. What's this? Yabusame's bow cavalry, I think. Not good. I took the regular bow cav over them, honestly, just because you get more volume of arrows. Yeah, you get more volume of arrows. It's also cheaper, and again, it's a hero unit, so it's pretty late game. I would rate them better than those units though, but definitely still E tier. Donderbuses, great. They're a great unit. Where did I put them? You can get. I feel like you get access to them faster than Guard. I would put them in there. Ooh, actually, I think I'd put them above Katana Samurai. Honestly, actually, I put you above the Great Khan. Massive damage. These things can get like 100 plus kills on a volley. They don't have great range. So you have to be careful with them, and they don't have good melee, so be careful of enemy cab. But if you can keep them supported, they will shred everything. Kiyomasa's Katana Cavalry. They're good. They're a good cav. They're a good cav. They're better than the Great Guard. Get access to them sooner. They'll probably beat the Great Guard in a fight. Great Guard do have anti-cav. It's a good cav. It's like the best sword cav, probably, if I had to say so. Probably behind the Great Guard. Again, these things, actually, I'll put them ahead. Great Guard will beat them in a fight. They are so good. You just get two, and it's so late game that they're just not worth it. Katana Cav. It's a fairly good cavalry. I'll probably rate these at the bottom of C tier. I used to use Katana Cav a lot because they're good at throwing into melee, but I switched to a lot more Yari cavalry and such. These guys right here, we'll move them up. We'll do them next. Just because I like to secure cavalry dominance more so than I like having cav that could do really well in a sustained combat. Yari cav. Oh boy, these things, I love them. I love them. Where should I put them though? That's the real question. Probably top of B tier, honestly. I'll take one or two of these units to secure cav dominance or like protect my Donderbusses from other cav. But there's better options. If you want a Yari cav and it's late game, get the Guard. Kiyomasa is even better than this, I'd say. Even though they're not anti-cav, but Kiyomasa, it's a hero unit, so it has insane stats. Mounted gunners. I think the Shimazu get access to these guys. Mounted gunners are pretty good. They've got good mobility. They've got good accuracy. They've got good range for a gun unit, much better than the other ones. But where would I throw him? Probably C tier. It's a good gun cav. They're fun to use. Probably top of C tier. I'd take these guys over Nodachi for sure. Maybe I'd... Matchlock Samurai, they're better, but I just don't know how much better. Anyways, General. On its own, fucking probably D tier bottom. The thing with Generals is, they've got all of your general abilities, and that instantly makes them S tier. Because Rally, Inspire, the ability to get Fear, being a general, which means on the campaign map you get your general upgrades, you can like get ambushes out of them. A beautiful, beautiful thing because of their abilities. Their actual stats and throwing them into combat, not that good. This is Bow Hero. I never find myself using this thing. I'd rather take Bow Ashigaru over this thing, even though its stats are so much better and it's good in melee. Good, but there's like 30 dudes in the unit. I'm not killing anything with his missiles. Bo Ronin, pretty good. I'd take them over Bo Cav, definitely. When I take them over... I'd probably take them over the Naginata Heroes as well. Bo Samurai, probably the best samurai in the game that you're going to have consistent access to. I use them a lot. They don't have the size that the Ashigaru do, but they're accurate. They have good range. They have good reload speed. When leveled up, these things get mean. They get very mean. They have good armor pen. They'll shred cav. This guy. Probably the single best holding infantry in the game. You could throw these guys into melee, and they're going to sit in melee for the whole match. I don't know how many times these guys have been thrown into melee immediately and have been just off in a corner of the map 3v1ing some Katana Samurai, and I forget about them. And then I look back at the end, and yeah, they've got 7 dudes left in the unit, but they wiped multiple enemy units, and I didn't even have to bother reinforcing them. They have amazing stats, great armor, they're resistant to matchlocks. They're just a great unit. Would I take them over Daikyu? Probably not, because I love ranged units so much, and I love shredding the enemy before they can even get to melee. But they're definitely an A tier, and a unit, if you are playing the Date and can get them, you should get them. Make an army out of these guys, or mostly out of them. Katana Samurai Hero. He deals good damage. I don't think he has the best melee defense, but he's got great armor and attack. Would I take him? I'd take him over the Cav, not the Matchlocks though. I'd bring him up, honestly. Ranged units will shred him, especially Matchlocks, because Matchlocks like one-shot anything that they actually hit. Is this Gozen Hime's, I believe? Gozen Hime's like group. They're Naginata women. Probably bottom of C tier. This is Benkei's Blades. They're a pretty good unit, honestly. We'll put them right there. They've got great stats, great armor. They've outperformed Katana Hero, in my opinion. I believe they're using no dodges. They have better charge bonus and melee attack. They shred things, but missiles kill them. They do. That's the issue with everything. Naginata Samurai. Probably bottom of S tier, probably. If you're not using Katana Samurai as your damage dealers, you're using Naginatas, because Naginatas tear through everything, and they're anti-cav. That's all I have to say about them. They're just a great unit. Seigen Swordmasters, I believe. Probably... I'd take him over Bocav. Take him over them as well. Probably right there. They're good. I don't think they're as armored, and they don't have as much attack as like the Katana Hero or Benkei's, so I don't like them quite as much. Is this Tadakatsu's? Ooh, these guys. They're just walking tanks. If you guys didn't know, I'm pretty sure this is correct, so I might be wrong. Almost every unit in Shogun 2 has 1 hit point. An attack either hits it, or an attack gets through its stuff melee defense, and then hits it. And then if the armor doesn't negate the hit, damage goes through. And if it's a missile unit, damage can, I believe, deal like 0.5 damage. But if it's a melee attack, it will always deal at least 1 damage. And units have 1 hit point. This unit, I believe, is like the only unit in the game. I think it has 2 hit points, which means it's effectively twice as tanky than it should be. And because of that, it's just a good unit. It's tanky as hell. It's one of the only units with the big club. I forget exactly. Tetsubo's. Thing will dish out damage, and he will take damage. Is this Naginata Ronin? I take him over swords. Somewhere in here, maybe. I probably put him. That's good. It's anti-cav. Anti-cav is always phenomenal. You hate having the enemy have cav advantage, so it's pretty okay. Yari Samurai. Look, if it's a multiplayer, these go up a few places, but in single player, why would you use them? Just why? They don't have good stats. Yeah, they have anti-cav, but there's better anti-cav available. Rapid mobility, whatever their movement thing is. Yeah, that extra speed makes them great, but it's just not useful that much. What are these? The Shimazu Heavy Gunners? These things, there's not that many. They're not that accurate, but when they hit, they'll knock like 7 dudes in a row over and slow down the entire unit. They will literally shove people down. I believe they also have the ability to damage towers. You can destroy towers with their guns. It's a great unit. Would I put them in C tier? Yeah, I'll put them in C tier. But where in C tier? Definitely worse than the Shimazu. They're probably the best gun unit of C tier, honestly. I would say. Honestly, I'm starting to think I should bring these guys down. It's cav. They don't have the numbers that infantry has. All right, Naginata Warrior Monks. They're better. They have a smaller unit size, but you get them right at the start of the game, and they have great stats for right at the start of the game. So they will pretty much shred anything. They got anti-cav, they got good melee attack and defense. They will get butchered by missiles because of low armor. And then you'll just outpace them. You'll move into something else. Probably by mid-game. Spears of Shizugatake, I believe. This is probably the best Yari Cav, honestly. It's not the great card. It's the best hero Yari Cav for sure, at least. But based on numbers alone and how Cav charges work, I'd probably still take Yari Cav over them, honestly. Now it is good. I'd probably put it bottom of B tier. I'm always going to take other Cav over them, especially because they come so late in the game. They are a pretty good Cav unit. The Matchlock Hero. Best range for any Matchlock unit in the game, which is good, but there's like 40 dudes. They don't have that good of reload skill. And you can just get access to... yeah, I'll put them above those. Yeah, I'd take the bow Cav above them, probably. Yabusame's. They're not going to get much damage, even if they have good range. They'll snipe enemy heroes, which is kind of their only practical use. But if I'm sniping enemy heroes, I just use bow warrior monks, which have better range than this and have more men, so they're throwing more shots out and they're more versatile. Why would you use them? Waco Pirates. I think the Mori get access to these guys. I'm not exactly quite sure. They're a great unit. They're basically lone swords, but I believe with better morale and better defense, but a smaller unit. I'd take lone swords over them for sure. They're still a good unit. I don't like the ninjas that much. That one's really... I'd probably put them there. Mid-A tier. They're a great unit, but I'd take lone sword over them if you're really going to run a katana unit. And late game, you're probably going to run just Katana Samurai or Naginata Samurai instead. Or your Ashigaru spamming. And then says Yari Hero, last one. Where would Yari Hero go? I gotta think about this. I don't want to put him in the wrong spot. Probably down here somewhere. That might be a bit rude to any Yari Hero fans out there. But he's better than that. I'd take him over the Katana Ronin. I'd take him over Bocav. Honestly, I might take Bocav over him. I might put him there. Yeah, it's a hero unit, but there's not many, and he's really only there for anti-cav, and he doesn't have that good of melee stats, so we can't hold up like the Tetsubo Warriors or Benkei's can in melee with any good high-end melee units. Anything I'd like to change around? Maybe. Find warrior monks. I feel like they're this guy. That's where I was thinking. I mean, he is good. I'd like Bow Samurai more than him is the thing, but I think he might be better than Bow Samurai. Just objectively, even though I like Bow Samurai more and I'd probably use them more, but he might be better than Katana, honestly. Is he better than Donderbus? No, Donderbus are just so good. Yeah, I'd probably put him there. Maybe interchangeably with Katana Samurai and the Waco. Somewhere in here, though. We'll just put him right in between. I think that was my jealousy putting these guys ahead of them. Yeah, I would say that's my single player Shogun 2 tier list, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll be making a multiplayer one soon. A lot of these units change around in multiplayer. For example, I think oh yeah, Daikyu Samurai. I'd probably move them up to the bottom of the vest, and I'd take these guys way down. I'd probably take them to B, probably. Anyways, we'll get into that later. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.